Welcome, everyone. We are live. And it is a glorious day. It is indeed Monday. Today we're talking about roller coasters. You see, sometimes we maybe don't live deliberately and we just want certain situations. If you watch, you'll see that you're on a roller coaster, right? Only using the principles for things versus living it as a lifestyle. If you watch, you'll see it, right? So the key to getting out of that pattern is to use the principles deliberately on a daily basis, as opposed to just when you want something. It's okay to want things. It's perfectly natural to want things, right? We all want something. What I'm speaking of is just using the principles to manifest this thing, manifest that thing. Because we will realize that we're always in situations. We always experience situations. So if you just wait to use the principles while you're in a situation, well, that's where the roller coaster comes from. You use the principles to create a beautiful life. As always, the principle of rhythm will tell us ebb and flow. There's always an ebb and a flow. However, if you use the principles deliberately, you begin to see that the ebb and the flow is gentle as opposed to tumultuous. I trust this is making sense to you this glorious morning, right? Use the principles to live deliberately instead of being reactionary, right? If you don't know what that means, look at it this way. Something comes up, we freak out. Something comes up, we freak out. Something comes up, we freak out, right? What if we used the principles to train ourselves so that when something comes up, we assess the situation, modify our behavior instead of freaking out? I know a thing or two about freaking out. I sure do. But it's not really how we want to live, is it? It isn't. I saw this episode on Gaia and they were talking about how plants are aware. You see, if you practice the principles, you already know that plants are aware. Well, I've told you continuously about the vine in my backyard. It grows and it reaches for something to anchor itself to. And on the vine, it's, pardon me, on its vine are these little tiny barbs in a way. It's very sticky. They don't poke you like thorns, but they're sticky, not because there's sap, but because it's like Velcro. and everything is the smooth side that it touches. So it is the rough side of Velcro, and everything it touches is a smooth side, so it sticks to it. It reached out in its growth, and it found something to anchor itself to, which means the plant had to know itself, to know what wasn't itself. It doesn't wrap around itself, oddly enough. It does not wrap around itself. It just grows in a giant bunch, like a hedge. And it reaches out. It has gotten a hold of the fence because that's where it is planted near to. Because it's a vine. The nature of a vine is to trellis itself, to run, to climb. That is the nature, right, of a vine. So it knows itself. It knows I grow like this, so I'm going to need something to hold on to. That's the vine, right? Why? Because let me tell you, it gets really windy, right? It does. The rains come, everything. And so because it is anchored, it is not overly affected by external sources. So when the wind comes, it doesn't move so much because it's anchored to the fence and now the lawn chairs, right? It doesn't do anything much. It just stays where you put it because it is anchored, right? So if you look at that plant and you look at yourself, look for the similarities. How can you apply in your life what the plant is doing? Well, first, you must know yourself. Are you a vine? A vine likes to be trellised and because it runs, yes? So are you a vine? You have to know what you are. And once you know what you are, then you act according to what you are. Because what you say you are and how you behave match. As within, so without. So because it is a vine, a runner, it will trellis naturally. Trellis, climb. That's what it is. It'll climb onto that thing that is closest to it. That's what's so beautiful about learning to apply the principles, right? If you look around, you will notice that everything is teaching you something if only you would look at it and comprehend it. So that once you apply it, you know that you're not doing a flash in the pan, you're not doing some trend, the dashiki and the bell bottoms went out, but they're back in again. Yeah, you're not doing that. You're remaining constant and consistent. Is that not what you want? I know it is what I want. So I act accordingly. What principles am I talking about? Mentalism, the all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. And then we say correspondence. As within, so without. As above, so below. Because everything is moving. This is vibration. Everything is moving. Nothing stands still. Well, how do you apply that to your life? Vibration. Well, nothing stands still. So if you feel stuck, you're not. You cannot be. It would be contrary to law, contrary to principle. Right? So if it's not stuck, because everything moves, and you don't like your present situation, it just means you are doing the same thing over and over again. Right? Which now takes us from vibration to polarity. People say, oh, we live in a dual world. We do not live in duality. There is one thing. So polarity teaches us that there is simply one thing. You plant a seed, and that seed starts to sprout. When it sprouts, you can look at it and say, oh my God, that's a whatever kind of tree it is. And let me tell you, the apples on the tree in the backyard are so tasty. OMG. I'm going to have to pick 2 of them for work this morning. Oh, they are so tasty. Right? How do I know that they're apples? Because that's how we identify the apple. The way that that thing grows. So that when I pick it and eat it, it started as a seed. Remember, we're talking about polarity. Non-duality. There is no duality. You plant the apple seed and it moves from seed to sprout to sapling to tree to blossom to fruit. What kind of fruit is it? Well, what seed did you plant? Apple. So the fruit is apple. No duality. One thing was planted and it goes through stages to bear fruit. And so now that takes us into the principle of rhythm, pattern. Everything has a pattern. It has an ebb and it has a flow, which means there'll be springtime and there'll be harvest. You see? The ebb and the flow, the pattern, so that when you look at the pattern, you know where along polarity you are. You know what stage you are at. Are you closer to harvest or closer to planting? Just look. And you'll always be able to see what stage of your life experience you are in. Always. And you see, the thing about rhythm, the beautiful thing about rhythm is that it compensates. What do you mean by it compensates? Well, as within, so without. This is how it compensates. The measure you move to the left is how far you'll move to the right. But if you look at that, you will see that it is clearly telling you, as within, so without. That's how rhythm compensates. Right? The more exhausted, sometimes you're going to get the longer the sleep because you're so exhausted. Unless, of course, that sleep is interrupted. But the more tired you are, That's the amount of sleep you're going to do. Right? Rhythm always compensates. And so, after rhythm, we flow into cause and effect. I read a post and they were asking, should I do something? Should there be action or should there be inaction? There can't be inaction. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. So, whichever cause you choose, you will do the effect as the action. It's not a guessing game. You see, the principle of rhythm would tell you there's no chance, there's no luck. One need not have to guess. You don't have to guess. If you're looking in the mirror at your outfit, you say, I don't like this. These colors just don't fit right for me. What will you do? What is the only action you can do? Take it off. This is how cause and effect works. So clearly, if you're a student and you have exams, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The action is to write the exam because you have it. Right? That's how you know what to do and what not to do. And finally, from cause and effect, we have gender, not to be confused with male or female, boy, girl, man, woman. That is not what it means. It means to generate. Generate from seed to fruit over and over and over again. So let's put that in a way that we can apply it to our everyday lives. The masculine here would be the idea. Remember, this is how we stay off the roller coaster, right? Masculine is the idea. You know, what am I gonna do? It's invisible. You don't see it. But you will make a series of choices, right? You'll make a series of choices that will cause you to act. That's what you'll do. And it is in that action that you embody that thing, and that is what feminine is. Feminine has nothing to do, just like masculine has nothing to do with muscles or your makeup or your soft girl era. That's male and female. It's not masculine and feminine. Masculine is the invisible thought. Let me give you an example of this. The potter at the wheel. As the potter sits at the wheel and begins to shape the clay, the idea is within the potter's brain. The potter's mind's eye is where the idea is held. So it is masculine. But now the potter begins to mold and shape the clay into the form that matches what was once invisible in his brain, now is physical. So in the mind's eye, the idea is masculine. But when it takes on shape, and form, it is feminine. And we are always in a state of generation because everything moves, nothing stands still. So now, how do we apply that to the roller coaster that sometimes we find ourselves on? Okay. Well, you know that we're always in a state of generation, right? We're moving from invisible to visible. So, what is the problem that you are currently dealing with? You must acknowledge that because it is your starting point, it is your point of origin. And when you recognize where you are and what you're doing, well, that's what's going to tell you if that thing is desirable or you want it gone. Because one must what? Always know themselves. You must always be aware. That is the principle of mentalism. You're always aware of yourself and where you are and what you are doing. And when you see what that thing is that you are doing, now you're going to see, oh snap, that's what I have inside. Here's the attitude that I walk with on the inside that nobody sees that causes me to embody this behavior. So if you're afraid of rejection, what do you possibly think your behavior will be? Only you know that you are afraid of rejection until you do something, until you embody the behavior. Then other people will know that you are afraid of rejection. It went from invisible, which is masculine, to feminine, the embodiment, the behavior that you gave form to. That's how it's always going to pan itself out. It'll move from the interior to the exterior, always projecting, because that is the direction we're moving in. So to get off the roller coaster, identify the problem. That is step one. When you see the problem, you'll know where that mood, you'll know what that mood is that brought about that problem. The mood is invisible. The problem is visible. And when you look at the visible, the invisible now becomes seen. So what's the mood that made you act that way? See it? Step two. What would you prefer to be doing instead? You can't name it? That's all right. We don't always verbalize, but there's one thing we all do. We know what we want to feel like. So now you've gone for the effect because every effect has its cause. So if you know what you want to feel like, well, you will bring about the cause that will generate that feeling that you have identified. So step two would be, as Neville Goddard says, begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were living that thing out that you wanted to become. There's a behavior. Why? Look at step one. You are doing a behavior that you don't like. Well, then you have to see the behavior you would prefer to be doing instead. And what would that behavior look like to you? Because it is unique unto you. What would you be doing in reality? What would you be doing? You'd be doing something that if I look at it, I would say, oh my goodness, look at their character. Look at that. I would be able to see the invisible by your actions. Then I'd be able to say, oh my goodness, that person is so confident. That person is so bold. What would you be doing if you were no longer doing that thing in step one? Because in step one, you're doing something. So in step two, you have to do something as well. But what would that thing be? I would be, because the thing has to match the mood, right? That's how you'll know what your behavior would be. It's going to match that new mood that you want. Only you will know what that behavior is because it's based upon you. So once you see in your mind's eye what you would be doing in reality as this new version of yourself, when you see that, start to rehearse it mentally. Why? Because what you rehearse mentally, remember the first principle of mentalism, you know who you are. That's what that mood is. You know who you are. You are aware. And it is invisible. So now you've got to give it form. And you give it form by rehearsing it. Why is that? Because the thing that you rehearse is the thing that you will do. That's not magic. That's not anything crazy. Go to any acting class. Go to any cooking class. Go to any dance class. The thing rehearsed is the thing acted upon, acted out. So you get into your mind's eye and you rehearse it and you rehearse it and just that one thing you would be doing. Because the one thing that you would be doing is telling you that you have accomplished the whole. Hello? The one thing that you would be doing shows you that you have accomplished the goal. Well, go back to step one. You're presently doing something you don't like, which means you have not accomplished what you've wanted to accomplish. You keep doing the same thing over and over again, so you don't have it yet. You see, it is the evidence of not having accomplished. That particular action is the evidence of not having accomplished the goal or the desire to be a particular person with a particular character, right? So then when you get to step two, that new thing, just that one thing that you would rehearse, is it a particular smile? Is it the way you would walk into a room? Is it the way you would say hello? Is it the way you would laugh? If that is your personality, that shows you that you have accomplished this thing. You only need to do one thing to prove to yourself that you've made it. What is that thing? Then that is what you rehearse. If it's a, oh my God, that is so cool. Is that what you would do naturally? To show yourself that you've accomplished your goal? Then that is what you rehearse. Just like Lawrence Fishburne had to rehearse, don't think you are, know you are. And Neo had to say, are you trying to tell me I can dodge bullets? Morpheus says, no, I'm trying to show you that when you're ready, you won't have to. Why? Because when he stops dodging the bullets, that means he has accomplished what he set out to do. So there's one thing that you would be doing. You do not get lost in the details. Oh, my dress would look like this. Your dress is gonna look gorgeous because you already know what you want it to look like. You know what it fits like, what it feels like against your skin. You already know. But what would imply that you wore the dress? the feeling would imply. So you rehearse the feeling. Would it be hearing, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful in that dress"? Or would you gaze upon your own reflection in the mirror and be speechless? All you can do is sigh or cry, depending on your personality. Well, then that is what you rehearse. Now you understand step one and step two. Step one, identify the behavior you no longer want to do. Step two, begin to experience in imagination what the new behavior is that you would be doing. Step three is to rehearse it until it becomes second nature to you, until it becomes your habit. Because the only thing you can do from step three is step four, which is to what? Live it out. But do you know where we get lost sometimes? Step three. We do not make it a habit. And this is why we end up on the roller coaster. Because we do not make it a habit. Do you remember what a habit makes you? A habit makes you efficient. It does not matter what the habit is, good, bad, or indifferent. The habit is just there to make you efficient. It makes you do it on autopilot, then, if that's a better phrase for you to grasp. When you do something in autopilot, it's efficient. Good, bad, or indifferent. So then, what would be beneficial? If a habit is going to make you efficient, what would be beneficial? It would be beneficial to choose the habit. You don't just want any habit. Your habit has a specific outcome that you want to experience. And that is why you experience it in imagination over and over again. Now, here's what is happening in the imagination, because we think imagination is child's play, but it is not. In imagination, in your mind's eye, the more you practice a particular thing, you begin to set down a neurological pathway for yourself to follow. Hello, that neurological pathway is called habit inside the physical brain. The way you tie your shoes, the way you write number 2, the way you do your cursive, all of that is a habit. What, do you have to get up and learn to do cursive every day, or are you efficient at it? Well, how did you get efficient at cursive? First, somebody wrote it for you and showed you how to do it. But you had to see yourself be able to do it so that you would practice what you saw. Where did you see it? In your mind's eye. You remembered what you were showed. You what? You remembered, you recalled. So it is in your mind's eye. And thus you keep practicing it. And as I said to you before, habits make us efficient. You and I have learned a series of habits from a very young age. And we're still doing them. We're still doing them. And because we are still doing those habits, we think that that is what we are. When in actuality, you are only doing a habit. So to get off the roller coaster, identify what the problem is. And you don't have to go looking under a bushel to find out what the problem is. It's in my face. That's exactly where it is. It's in your face. So much so you say, what? Oh my God. Why does this happen to me all the time? Why do I keep making the same mistake? Why do I feel like I'm stuck in a loop? all of those phrases that you say to yourself are the evidence of the habit that you keep doing. And now you know step 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Step 4 is inevitable. The moment, because why is it inevitable? Because every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. You chose your new effect, your new behavior that you're going to rehearse in your mind's eye over and over and over again until it sets down a neurological pathway in your brain that you can shut your eyes and do it. And you've become that new thing because you've embodied it now, because it's feminine, right? You've embodied it. You took it from invisible, and it is visible, so you can do it. That's why it is inevitable. Because the effect has its cause. So choose the cause. And the effect will follow. You don't have to make the effect happen. The effect happens because it was chosen. Just like if you don't know the cause, but you know the effect, well, then you will bring about the cause that matches that effect. So you see, step 4, the action that you do is already, here's a word that's funny, predestined. Well, how is it predestined? Oh, it is predestined because every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. It is the only action you can do based upon the choice you made, which is the cause. But you see, we want predestined to mean something else. We want preordained to mean something else. But it simply means every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. You see, we want destiny to mean something else also. When in fact, your destiny, which is the inevitable outcome of your life, is based on what? Chance? No. It is based upon cause and effect. So the next time you gaze upon an experience in your life, do not complain about where you are. Why not? Because complaining is a cause, and every cause has its effect. You don't want the effect of complaining. You want the effect of change. So then you must identify what you want to become. And when you see who you want to become, then rehearse what you would be doing if you became it. Don't fret about the details. The details will come out because they have to emerge. They will emerge based upon what you say you've now become. And if I become this thing, I would do this. A singer's gonna sing, a dancer's gonna dance, wouldn't they? So what is it that you have to figure? Nothing. Choose. Just choose. Choose the cause or choose the effect. But either way, you're gonna act according to what you've chosen. So rehearse that in your mind's eye. Step 3, because it has a feeling, right? It's a feeling of knowing. Well, what do you mean, Angela, by the feeling of knowing? Well, when you plant something, do you not know that it grows? Oh, don't come and tell me, Angela, but what if there's a drought? But then the drought would interrupt the growth. But the growth would be there anyway. It was just interrupted by the drought. So the outcome of planting is reaping. Period. The outcome of rehearsal is acting it out. One does not become a black belt by sitting on the couch and eating bonbons. No, one becomes a black belt. You see it in your mind's eye and you practice. You go to your lessons and you practice. Until what? You make the moves. So the knowing is understanding what the outcome is. So if you know the outcome of planting is reaping, then plant. Because you're going to reap. It's inevitable that you reap. So if you say, I'm going to practice this new lifestyle, because you see, you're not going to be on a roller coaster if you're practicing a lifestyle. A lifestyle is something that is consistent. So if you practice the lifestyle, well, obviously, as a rhythm would tell you, well, we're going to have ebbs and we're going to have flow. Hmm? We're going to have ebb and flow. But what kind of ebb and what kind of flow? Well, that depends because rhythm always compensates. So if you're running around freaking out, well, then that's what you're going to get, a freak out. But if you live a deliberate lifestyle, you will know how to act or behave when something arises. You'll be cool, calm, and collected. Why? Not because you're high. No, because you know that, you see that situation? I don't want that one. Let me plant the one I want, and it will change to match what I say. Because you have practiced doing what? You have practiced observing where you are and showing yourself where you want to be and rehearsing it, thereby acting it out. That's what you're showing yourself. And that's what you're practicing. That's what you're living. Thus, you don't have a roller coaster lifestyle. You don't have moments of, oh my God, what am I going to do? You don't have those moments. You simply have a moment that says, oh snap, look at that. Let's fix that. And you flow. So, I trust it makes sense. Let me turn to have a look at what's in the chat just in case there are any questions. Well, oh, Big Mike. Very good observation. Right? Because Big Mike says he always looked at Morpheus and Neo like Jesus and John the Baptist. You see how you can form these images, but always applying them to yourself? Always applying them to you, because that is the point of learning. The point of learning is to be able to apply it in your own life. That is how, if you read scripture, that is how it says test it. You test it by, can I do this thing? Can I recreate this? So yes, Big Mike says there's a fire inside of him today. You're fired up. Listen, so am I. Let's welcome everyone, shall we? Well, we know Big Mike is in the house. Ray Ray is in the house. Happy is in the house. Moon and Dolphin Duck are also in the house today. Oracle Treehouse. I see you, girl. You're in the house too. Beautiful Ones is in the house. Flo Smiles. Hey, girl. Miss McQueen. I see you. I see you. There's somebody here in these YouTube streets, but they just have not said anything to me, so I can't call your name. I can just say, hey, what's up? I can only say that to you. And, oh, I forget how to say your name. Plow Nation Network. I am is in the house today on Twitter. Welcome. I trust today that it makes sense for you to get off the roller coaster. I'm sure roller coasters are fun, but they make me nauseous and I can't be having that. I don't want a roller coaster in my life. I just want a beautiful flow, a beautiful ebb and flow every time. But that ebb and flow depends upon me, just as it will depend upon you. So remember, before we go out into the world today, perhaps you're already in it. You can pivot. You and I have what it takes to change. And you and I, now that we know it is our persistence, you see that little space between step 3 and 4, that space right there, the persistence, that is what makes the difference. And when you know that persistence will bear fruit, you don't have to look at the watch. You don't have to ask, are we there yet? You don't have to ask that because you will know that every vision has its appointed hour. It will ripen. It will flower. If it be long, wait, for it will not be late. Habakkuk 2, verse 3, right? You will know. As long as I persist doing this thing, the outcome is inevitable. I will have to act it out. That is the knowing that you walk with in your bosom every day. And when you're so busy rehearsing, you notice how you don't have time to argue and be petty? Oh my goodness. Thereby reducing your blood pressure. Hello. Thereby easing your digestion. Oh, you doubt me, do you? You think that if you're tense in your brain, in your mood, that your body's relaxed? It can't be. As within, so without. So if you're walking around with pent up tension mentally, then your body has tension in it too. Your shoulders, your butt is tense because you're clenching your cheeks, your fists are balled up, grinding your teeth, and so too are the bowels. They're stuck. Oh, yeah. You didn't know? Well, if you don't know, now you know. Anywho, thank you all for being here and spending time with us this glorious morning. A little bit is still asleep. Oh, yes, he is. He's still asleep. The world will wake when he does. So that's why you didn't hear him crow this morning, because he's still asleep. Anyhow, thank you all for being here. SK, thank you for being here. Countdown initiated. Jessamine, ow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you again in these virtual streets. Right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, fan base. Oh, yes. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do my best not to go over an hour. Yes, and we are well under it today. We are at 49 minutes, y'all. So, thank you. And if you have questions, slide into my DMs. Not because I know everything, because I know what I know. I just know the principles. And every day I learn a new aspect of them. That's all I know. Right? And what I don't know, I ask. Because I know the outcome of asking. Well, I'll be answered, won't I? Indeed. Anywho, I love you all. Thank you for the love, fan base. I see you. Thank you. Peace out, everybody. Peace out.